Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And we are going to start no longer dipping the toes into the draft pool. We are going to start diving into that sucker tonight. The combine's rolling, and I don't know about you guys out there, but man, there's nothing quite like watching large men in shorts and shirts that are way too small for them do really athletic things. It is exciting as hell. Let me tell you. The guys are here except for Scarpino. We may have to send out some form of emergency flare. I don't know. I haven't heard from him. I don't think he's messaged.
He just posted in Slack that he's on the way.
Oh, all right. Very good. Very good. Thank you. And anyway, welcome to those viewing us live. Burner is in. George is in. Welcome aboard. As always, thanks so much for being loyal viewers, listeners to this huge mess we put on once a week. I don't know if you guys knew this, but the Steelers have coaches that watch college players.
Really?
They do. And hello to Jen as she jumps on.
You know, if they watch any player at the combine, they're definitely drafting that guy.
Yes. Yeah, and that's
100%, 100%, it is going to happen.
Yes. If you see a Steelers coach within 50 yards of a prospect, then that means we are drafting that prospect.
Well, especially if he says hi to him.
Yes. Now, if it turns into an actual conversation,
then yeah,
it could be first round.
Yeah.
Scarpino has made it with his Scarpizio wine there, it looks like. Is that what you got a little wine there?
Yeah, red wine, heart healthy, goes to my head, makes me forget.
UB40, red wine, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Confession, I forgot to do Casey this week, so I had to get a hold of him. I had to get a hold of him last minute, and he assured me that he will be available, so that's a bonus.
Wow, that's putting some pressure on there, man.
You know,
you've had some pretty stellar Casey's the last few times out.
It's big show bit. That's what I call show business, right?
The biz.
Burners coming
Those of us in the biz.
What I miss? I'm sorry.
Book club.
Did you just get back from book club?
I got bad cholesterol, so I'm trying to drink red wine, which is heart healthy.
That's good stuff.
Such a fucking liar.
So, guys, we're going to jump into it tonight. And you know, some of the first stuff we'll talk about, I don't think it's news to anybody that's been a long time Steelers fan, but I think it does bear a little bit of repeating. And that is, how do the Steelers go about drafting in the first round? You know, because there's the idea that it's best player available. Well, no, it's the position we need the most. Well, not necessarily. It's the youngest guy, you know. And so what is, and Ben, I'll throw it to you first. What is, in your best way of putting it, the way the Steelers attack the first round of the draft every year?
It's the best available player at a position of need. I mean, it's not complicated.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what we think. It's what they think, obviously. And they prefer, they don't always do this, but they prefer, they did not do this last year, to get younger players that they can put on a 5-year deal where they get, as Tomlin liked to put it, we like to get them for their red shirt season.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
You know, a lot of times they'll bring in young guys that fit a prototype. They're not necessarily finished products, but they fit a need, and they're outstanding athletes. Because you're not necessarily going to get an outstanding athlete that's close to a finished product drafting at the end of the first round, which is typically where the Steelers draft. This year we're drafting toward the middle.
Right.
So we get a little better shot at that, depending on how this thing falls. And we have a lot of needs. So, I mean, they could go corner, they could go defensive line, they could go offensive tackle if one of the tackles is there. They could go inside linebacker if one of the, you know, the premier linebackers is there. There's only one I can think of that. And I this is not a good linebacker class. I really hope they sign one or two. One of them will be Robert Spillane. So let's hope they sign one more, and go into the season that way. Try and add to the defensive line, and then let's go from there. But there are a lot of different directions they could go. I mean, they could surprise us and take a friggin' wide receiver. I don't think they will at 17, but they might surprise us and do that. If the value is just too great to pass up, they might do it. You never know.
Yeah, that's a word I'm going to come back to. Ian, I'll just ask you as a fan.
Not as the guy with all the spreadsheets, just as a fan. The guy
all fans don't have a bunch of spreadsheets. No, Ben made the comment that the Steelers will oftentimes take a younger guy in his the redshirt year. Does that as a fan bother you? Would you rather they took a guy that I want this guy to play now?
Well, I mean, usually the guy does play now also, but it's usually
more so than in past years.
Yeah, there's somewhat of a learning curve. And really for the past decade, I think like Cam Hayward was probably the last first round pick they didn't expect to come in and play right away. Because even, when you look to 2013 with Jarvis Jones, which was not a great first round pick, but that was the year they let James Harrison go in free agency because they didn't want to pay him or didn't have the cap space to pay him. And then, drafted Jarvis Jones to fill that spot and expected him to start. So really for the last decade, they've expected their first round picks to start. And the only one that really was over, kind of what their normal age of drafting first round guys was Najee Harris. Talked about that a lot on the show that year, that we were like, Najee's a lot older than what they usually draft. They usually draft underclassmen. They usually draft guys who are, 20, 21, 22 years old.
But if you're only going to get 5 years out of a running back anyway, who cares?
Yeah, right.
That's exactly why that worked.
The other thing I was going to mention was I had a really good bead on what Kevin Colbert's trends were, but we don't know necessarily what Omar Khan's trends are going to be. But Kevin really
You mean Mike Tomlin's trends?
Well, okay.
Sorry.
We'll get into that.
Yes. Kevin preferred guys from major conference schools that were highly athletic. Ben's right that were young. Yep. But also that came from winning programs. We drafted, I think I had it tracked for a while. I think we drafted the most players from teams that finished ranked in the top 25 of any team in the league. So Kevin liked guys that came from winning programs. Yep. He liked guys who were leaders, guys that were team captains in college. And also, highly athletic, especially in the early rounds, major program guys. And then the youth as well. But you asked me as a fan, what I would like to see. The other thing I want to throw out there, in addition to what Ben said, is, depending on how this board falls this year, obviously Alex Highsmith's in the last year of his rookie deal, and we don't have another starting safety under contract right now other than Minkah Fitzpatrick, which granted, we could re-sign Terrell Edmonds. There's DeMonte KZ. There was two starter capable guys that we had, but both of them are going to be free agents. If Brian Branch from Alabama is there at 17, they may seriously take a look at him too, because that kid can play all over the field, and you put him and Minkah back there together and you could do a whole bunch of different things with your safeties. So I really wouldn't. The only position I would count out in the first round would be quarterback and running back. And other than that, they could take anything at this point.
Well, yeah, I think that that wide receiver is a long shot. So is tight end.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything else is on the table, man. I mean, everything, even edge, which if you've got an edge there, that's such a great value. You just can't pass them up. Maybe you grab them because they need talent there. There's no question.
Yeah. And to my opening sarcastic comments, there have been some edge guys tonight that have done very, very well for themselves, and they fit a lot of those categories, the youth, top 25 teams, things like that. Mr. Scarpino, of the four of us, is the only one to have ever laid eyes on an official Steelers draft board. And, now my understanding is you lose about 3 years of your life every time you look at it for like longer than 2 or 3 seconds. But But so Scarps, where in the process is that board? Does it even have a name on it yet? Or is it still all a bunch of jumble and then they'll start working on it?
I sort of go into this similar to, I'm sure, how the Steelers still do it and other teams do it. I'm not even looking at names right now. Like, you guys are mentioning names and whatnot. There is so much shit that's going to happen in between now and the draft. We got obviously combine.
Good point.
Look at what already happened with Jalen Carter. Projected number one overall pick. Potentially. He's in some legal trouble right now. We got the combine. We got the pro days. We got pre-draft visits, follow-up interviews, medical follow-ups, all this stuff. So I'm sure, the Steelers definitely have of course, everybody has their sort of targets or whatnot, but right now, the board is, to me, is it as important as it will be the day before. And that's when they always do their mock draft. And I think, to me, that's more important than their board, because that's when they lay out what they think is going to happen, how they think all the other teams are going to do their thing. And they
didn't do a mock draft last year. They
think
abandoned it.
The last couple years.
Didn't?
No.
The last
Kevin
couple
did
years.
do one, and he talked about it.
Kevin had said they did it differently. They basically said, like, they redid it a different way. That Kevin said, like, if we had the number one pick, who would we take? Okay, then if that guy was gone to some other team and we had the number two pick, who would we take? Okay, if those two guys were gone and we had the next pick, who would we take? And that was kind of how they did their quote unquote mock draft exercise the last couple of years.
Okay. Still,
which is similar, but not exactly the same.
I left in 2017, so but the point is, as I've said many times on the show, I don't expect there to be this totally different philosophy of how they've handled things over the years. So I wouldn't buy into anything that anybody's saying at this time right now, and whatever board or whatever they may have. But
I was a little surprised that Omar Khan was as forthcoming as he was, in so much as he admitted that Kevin Weidl was going to stack the board.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too.
I was shocked by that. So basically, you're letting this guy. Okay, that's fine. Because that was Kevin Colbert's job before.
Well, and we talked about that on the show. Is Kevin is a football guy. Omar is not. Omar is not a football guy. So I think Omar is going to let the football people handle that. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. I'm sure Omar's going to have a say in it. Rightfully so. He's been there a very long time. Good for him. Obviously you don't get, it's not charity. He deserved that position and he earned that position. But I also think sometimes, you need to know what your limitations are, or what you're not the best at. And I think he's got a staff in place. He also mentioned Mark Sadowski, and he also mentioned Sheldon White, and Dan Colbert, Kevin Colbert's son. So again, like, I don't think they're going to reinvent the wheel when it comes to this thing, but I agree, Ben. I'm very surprised Omar said that Andy's going to build it. Because Andy is not the general manager. He's the assistant GM.
He's the assistant general manager, though. Basically, he's effectively running the player personnel department.
Yep.
Under a general manager. So it's like the old school Tom Donahoe, director of player personnel.
Right.
When they didn't really have a GM.
Different titles.
The GM was Dan Rooney.
Yeah, I'm really curious how it plays out, because Omar said, like, Andy and his group are going to set the board.
Yep.
And then Art, Mike Tomlin, and Omar are going to make the picks. And I'm kind of like, if you don't have somebody who set the board involved in making the picks, how's this going to play out?
Well, he did say that he and Mike were going to have some input, obviously, into how the board.
They're going to have to.
Yeah.
To Ian's point.
And Tomlin, I mean, we talk about this every year. He just loves getting out there and watching these guys and getting up close and talking to them when they're running drills and they're in huddles at the Senior Bowl. And taking them out to dinner and trying to get to know them as people. Doesn't sound like he puts a lot of stock in the interview process, but Omar talked about the fact today that he does put some stock in the interview process.
Well, and maybe that's his piece. If he's not necessarily a player eval guy, then maybe Omar helps fit that mold as, I like sitting down and just chatting to these guys so I can give my 2 cents that way, more outside of obviously the money, man. We know
but these guys are coached so much on every aspect of the combine. I mean, they do nothing from the end of the season to the combine, but work on performing in these drills as best they can.
Yeah.
They work through mock interviews with teams. They work on every aspect of this job interview for 2 months before it happens. That's why when guys like blow things off and fuck this up, I'm like, seriously, dude, this is like the biggest job interview of your entire life.
Huge.
How did you not take that seriously?
It's like those pageant contestants.
And if
you go through every single phase,
like in South Carolina.
And Ben, you're absolutely right. And also, for the guys that don't get to go to the combine, then they're only getting maybe one opportunity at a pro day and maybe a pre-draft visit at the facility. But I agree, like if you're at the combine, you're getting an opportunity there. You're getting an opportunity at a pro day. You're more likely getting another opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 3 opportunities to make an impression. And you're right. Like, every one of us has had a job interview. Like we maybe get a day to prepare, like, hey, are you, whatever. Like, you're right. These guys get multiple months to prepare, but
they hire coaches. I mean, my God.
But I'll tell you though, man, I've never sat in on an interview, but I've given my fair share of, I've been in my fair share of conversations with like potential free agents, and you'd be surprised how guys just lock up and don't get comfortable, even though they're like they're interested in you and you're interested in them, and they get a little weirded out about that.
Like 2 middle schoolers at their first dance.
Yeah, it's like you're this far away from the person and you're in a 7th grade dance. It's weird. Yeah.
Is Ryan, real quick,
Ryan's point earlier that the Steelers now I not knowing a whole lot of inside info, but I think they're more in the information gathering stage still, that they're still, they just want to get out. And Tomlin talked about this with the, with the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Game and even the Combine. He said in the past, he just wants to get out and meet guys and start talking to them and kind of see what they're like. Because the other thing you have to consider is, yes, you're drafting a player, but you have to consider how that player and their personality is going to fit into that room of, 52 other guys. And just how it meshes with the team. And they're information gathering, right? They want to get to know people. They want to get to know their situations, their medicals, all that stuff plays into it. And there was one beat reporter today, I don't remember who it was, but he basically said, like, every prospect you talk to, if you ask them if they talk to Mike Tomlin, they're going to say yes, even if it was just to say hello. So, you can stop tweeting that the Steelers have talked to this guy, because they have literally talked to everybody here.
Yeah.
And that's just how Tomlin operates, that he just wants to get out there and, get
social butterfly
with everybody. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he is that dude. Like, that's just who he is. And like, that's why we've always said he's a great leader of men. He might not be the greatest coach, but he's a great leader of men. And it's true. Like, I mean, the dude, like, I can't tell you the number of times, like, the dude would like just have a normal conversation, be like, wow, I feel like I'm better for having this conversation. And like, it wasn't even about anything important. So like, and like, again, we talked about this last week. He's only one of 2 black head coaches in the league. He's been in this league how many years now? 15, 16 years. He's won a Super Bowl. He's one of the most successful coaches of all time. And he's a natural communicator. So like, I mean, people like these young kids are going to flock to him as it is, but he just has that thing about him where like, he controls a room. He knows how to talk to anybody and everybody. He's just like always been able to captivate an audience. So Didi today tweeted like Mike Tomlin's winning the Combine. And it's like, of course, I don't even know what that means. Didi's wonderful, but like, I'm like, but of course he is. That's him. Like, that's who he is. Like, of course he's winning the Combine. He's great. He's great like that.
Ryan, real quick, do you think the Steelers still have Jalen Carter on the board?
I mean, I don't know how you don't. I mean, that's the other thing too. Like again, so like we don't know exactly what happened.
Nope.
First of all, there's three sides to every story: mine, yours, and the truth. And we weren't there, so we have no idea what happened. We don't know what's going to come out of this. Obviously, when your name is associated with a tragedy like this, it's never a good thing. And
right.
But you know what? You got to let that legal process play out, because at the end of the day, I know people aren't going to like to hear this, but at the end of the day, this is a business, and it's a business about winning, especially and winning championships. So for you to take
championship,
for you to take off Jalen Carter, to take, like, whether you're the Steelers or any team, if you say right now, I'm absolutely not drafting this kid, then you're probably not a winning organization. And I know the Steelers have had some troublemakers in the past, but like, please find me an organization that didn't have a troublemaker or someone that had issues. And I think about it. I think about it often. But for as great as the Patriots were, and they had a tight end that was a murderer, and whether they knew that or not, or they did know it, they chose to think he could get better on his own, or whatever you want to say it. Every team has had players that have maybe not to that extent, but every team has had players that have had issues.
Well, speaking to that issue, a few years back, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems it was kind of around the James Conner draft was when it seemed like the Steelers really made a concerted effort to draft good people, to not go for risky individuals.
It was a year or two after the 2010 draft.
Okay.
When they took a bunch of character risks, and
2012, Mike Adams, second round.
Mike Adams showed up at the facility because he was told he was off the Steelers draft board. He showed up, and they said, if you can pass a drug test right now, we'll put you back on the board.
Didn't he write them a letter too? Like, please.
He did, but they were like, whatever.
Kevin went after we picked him second round. Kevin did a press conference afterwards, and Kevin never does a press conference unless it's after the first round. He does the first round, and then he does the end of the draft.
Yeah, it's usually position coach.
He walked down the hallway and said, I want to talk about this. And we were like, all right, whatever. Like, Kevin's fine. But I remember when he did that, to me, that like if I was Mike Adams, and by the way, Mike Adams, great dude. We still keep in touch. Sucks it didn't pan out. But like, I mean, Remember he got stabbed on the south side?
Yeah.
I
was just thinking about that. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
That was insane. Like, he almost died, but follow Mike Adams on Instagram. He's like a yoga coach now, yoga instructor. The dude, you wouldn't even recognize him. He's shredded and shit. He's like 6'7". It's unbelievable. But no, I remember when Kevin did that, because he smoked some weed. Like, I mean,
yeah.
Look,
now,
when I worked
10 years later, that shit happens. Somebody smokes weed and gets caught. We fucking laugh. Really, you're taking him off your draft board for smoking weed?
Right.
When I worked there, I was like part of me was like, oh, we don't want this guy. He smokes marijuana. And I'm like, wait a minute. But then the other part of me was like, hold on, 6'7", 310.
Yep.
I don't know. We could figure that out. But no, but I mean, if you go back in all of our pasts, we are all not perfect. People would probably say we have, especially me, we have some character issues. But like, it's just way too early to take a guy off the draft, off the board right now.
Okay.
Because of something that happened. Steelers freak. Pause for the cause.
Puff pass, baby.
Right on. That's hilarious.
Ian, as far as a player like George Pickens from last year, okay, we knew there was a few things. He got ejected from a game. He'd done a couple of stupid things.
Like squirting water on a Tennessee player.
Exactly. Always good to have the water bottle at the ready. But I mean, we look at what he's done since he was drafted, and he's done pretty well. as both a player and off the field as well, as far as we know. So where are you in this idea that the Steelers, will be a little bit risky in terms of some guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to consider a couple factors. Number one is that, on this show 5 years ago, which it's hard to believe it was that long, but
Crazy.
We all said how sick we were of the, drama-filled Steelers with the Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, all that other stuff happening. Martavis Bryant, that we wanted a team without drama. Well,
so much
if you want a team without drama, you can't keep drafting players that have potential character issues. So sometimes there's some give and take, but also players are human beings and they mature in theory as they get older. Some do, some don't. Some wide receivers don't mature. Some other players do mature. Yep. No offense, Ryan. But some players, and to his credit, Joe Mixon was a guy who had some huge issues coming out of college. I mean, he was on video punching a woman in a bar. I wanted nothing to do with him.
No,
but by all accounts,
after hours place.
It
was. He broke 7 bones in her face.
Yeah. But by all accounts, he's been pretty clean in the NFL.
He was 18 when he did that, and he was genuinely remorseful.
Right.
And I agree with what you just said though. When he came out in the draft, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with that guy.
Yeah,
I was like, fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
But I mean, he fucked up, and he's a human being, and it was a gigantic fuck up. So to your point, you're absolutely right. There are things in everybody's past that maybe they're not proud of, rather.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's where the interviews come in, right? Like you talk to a guy, you talk about their situation, and you're like, okay, did this guy learn from this thing, or is he going to keep making stupid decisions as we go forward? Is he remorseful for it? Is he mature enough to be like, okay, I screwed up and here's what I should do in the future? Or is he going to be like, I didn't do anything wrong. It was everybody else's fault. Just, point fingers at everybody.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No shit.
Certain wide receiver who just bought a team. And
I was just going to say, congratulations, AB. He's the proud owner of the Albany something or others, or
it's not the arena team that his dad played for because they're defunct.
Right.
It's in another arena team in Albany. And he bought a piece of it. He didn't buy the whole thing.
Okay.
So I don't know what the point of this was, other than to try and cozy up to his father who made him homeless when he was 12. I don't get it, man.
I would not be a bit surprised if he shows up and plays.
I just don't get it. I'm at a loss.
Go ahead, Ryan.
No, good. I can.
Okay.
It's just
to something that was just said in the chat about people with a little bit of an edge. I do think, and Mark, if you want to put it up on the screen, I do think there's something to that, though, that we did draft some guys who were quote unquote nice guys and almost like too nice to play in the NFL.
Jarvis.
I was gonna say Daniel McCullers was a guy that he was
McCullers.
6'8", 350 or something, like just a huge mountain of a man.
Yeah. And when he got pissed, he was unstoppable.
It just wasn't often enough.
But he just didn't get pissed often enough. And you're playing football. You're playing a physical game, especially on defense.
If a center did something fucking dirty to him, he would bury him.
Yeah.
But that's what it took to motivate him.
Yeah. You got to get some guys that have that edge that are willing to go out there and put their body on the line and play physical, because it's a physical game. We're not out here playing baseball. We're playing football.
And Jarvis allegedly was like that. I don't know. I mean, Ryan, you knew him. I don't know.
Another great dude. I just don't think it's not that he didn't try. It's not that he did try. I just don't think he ever had everything in place at the same time to be successful.
He needed a little Greg Lloyd in him is what he needed.
Yeah. And he actually, I think it was 2014. He was having a decent start to the year and he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And that basically was it. I think it was the Carolina game.
But then he finished the year strong. I remember that.
Yeah.
Versus Joe Thomas in that last game. And I was like, fuck, that's the best tackle in the league. And he had a good game versus him. And it was only 1 sack, but he had like 7 pressures or something ridiculous.
Right.
I remember when we drafted him, obviously everybody was excited. And I remember Coach Tomlin, he made a comment about like being mean, like Jarvis is mean. And I remember hearing them like, oh, God damn it. Like, oh, here we go. Like, we're going to like he's going to be a dick. And like, and he came there and he was so nice. And I was like, okay, maybe when he's on the field.
Oh, wait.
And then he got on the field and he wasn't so mean. And, but anyway,
they deleted one of my comments. Unbelievable.
Who did?
Apparently, YouTube.
Hey, listen, freedom of speech. Just saying YouTube if you're
Ryan, were you on site at the famous Jarvis Jones subway picture? I just wanted to know if maybe you took a little piece of roast beef off the side of his face or something.
No, but I'll tell you what, man. The only thing creepier than that Jarvis Jones subway lookalike thing was the commercial that Russell Wilson did earlier this year. And then they actually took it down.
They did.
Russell Wilson had the Danger Witch, and he had like a sandwich in his hand, and he was just talking to the camera, and he was giving off some major Buffalo Bill vibes from Silence of the Lambs. And I honestly don't know, like, Lord, I don't even want to see the behind the scenes thing for that one. Because he was like, you ever do something dangerous? And he like takes a bite of a sandwich. He's like, ooh,
no,
that is dangerous. And I'm like, God damn, I'm uncomfortable right now. And then he said, Broncos country, let's ride. And I felt so much better about my Super Bowl prediction. But so be it.
Hey, just a quick reminder that you're listening to the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing. And we are very proud to be part of the Pigskin Podcast Network. And right now, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Now use promo code TPPN.
Download.
First deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code TPPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Russell Wilson, 100% serial killer. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder that myself. I don't know. There is a young man named Jack Campbell who is having himself a night. And guys, we've seen plenty of people like this in the past, Mike Mamulas, if you will, who were workout warriors. But this kid is a linebacker from Iowa, and he is doing very well this evening. I believe he has, and I'm just looking here. He was one of the tops in the 20-yard shuttle, the 3-cone. Top 5 or 10 in the broad and the vertical, and had a very good 10-yard split, if I'm not mistaken. Again, we've seen these types of things before, but he's probably making himself some money, to say the least. And
I don't even know this player. I won't lie.
Was he?
Yeah, linebacker out of Iowa.
Did he say was he the one that said he's amphibious?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's exactly where I was going. He said you got to be amphibious as a linebacker. And
amphibious.
He meant it. What he was, he didn't like use a inappropriate term. He was simply saying, I got to be able to
frog. You got to be able to be in water and on land.
Yeah. But he's having himself a night, and some of these other guys, supposedly on the Steelers list are as well. But so, we're 2 months out now from the NFL draft.
So what you're saying is people are going to go back and watch his tape because of the night he's having.
No question. And his teammate is another one. Lucas Van Ness is having a pretty good night there in Indianapolis tonight too. And again, he's another guy that fits the bill. Young, and long, good motor, all those things. And
who the fuck ever heard of a 6'5" guy with 32-inch arms, 31.78? Wow, that's weird. The guy's built weird.
Yeah, T-Rex.
Yeah.
I mean, not quite Doug Legursky, but
no,
it's the guy has short arms for a guy.
Another good dude.
Yeah, I'm sure. And Legursky honestly was a good center. He did a nice job. Wasn't my favorite guard.
No, well,
I got a quick story about Doug Legursky. He's a great dude. Remember John Malecki? He played for Pitt. He was also
Absolutely.
He was like he was on and off the practice squad more than Ross Ventrone, who was also a Steeler.
Yeah.
What I used to love is like before practice, like they were in the corner, was like Pouncey, Gilbert, Ben, and they didn't have music blasting like they had their phones playing. So there'd be some rap going, and Doug Legursky and John Malecki would fire up Billy Squires' Lonely as the Night.
And you're kidding.
I would laugh my ass off. Like it was like they play like Ted Nugent's Stranglehold. Like it was pretty comical.
Imagine how long a guy like Russ Ventrone would last now with the current practice squad rules.
He'd still be in the league.
He'd play 10, 12 years.
Yep.
Yes.
Be a
no
practice Hall of Famer.
He would be a practice squad, special teams Hall of Famer. I mean, you're dead right. He'd still be in the league now.
So what I was getting at is we're 2 months out, and obviously I don't even like asking the question of who do you think the Steelers will draft. I just, but if the board breaks. That's a very good-looking bottle. Very nice,
isn't
bottle.
it? It's super fancy.
Yeah,
It is
very
nice.
very pretty.
Very nice label.
Calumet Farms 10-year.
Calumet Farms.
Yes. Unlike you two, I have friends because people like me.
Well,
and
that,
so I got
that is not true.
You mean the band U2 or us two?
Yeah,
you two. Well, yeah,
that's a good question.
Might be the most
Bono as
overrated
well.
band ever.
I don't think that Bono has any friends, so that's a fair point.
Yeah, I think
I
Ben
was referring to the two of you.
I think Ben has like an entire closet just for his novelty shirts and sweatshirts.
Actually, I do have a lot of
that
them.
shirt, Ben.
It is good. It is good. For
I'm
those
all
that are
about
not
positivity.
watching, he's wearing a shirt that says "BU, they'll adjust." And that could not be any more appropriate for this guy. Let me tell you,
it could not be any more appropriate for this fucking show.
Burners and Fuego tonight. Let me tell you, you meet some nice people at AA.
It's true, and they give you whiskey, Burner. They give you whiskey. Thanks, Johnny. Oh, there he is. No, we don't.
Found out Screech.
Fuck you, Johnny.
Screech did die, unfortunately.
That was a couple years ago now, right?
It was. Yeah, I think
am
I
I the one that brought that up?
Fuck, I know.
I feel like you made the
fuck. I don't know.
I feel like you made the American. He might have been on the America Top 40.
Ben, you mentioned.
If not, he should be.
You mentioned wide receivers.
I mean, Dustin Diamond had a long career, including some pornographic films.
He did. He did. Yeah.
I mentioned what? I'm sorry. Let's go back.
Yeah, we've gotten way the fuck off this rail. You mentioned wide receivers, and I was reading a lot in the last couple of days about how the wide receivers are good, but a lot of the experts aren't overly thrilled with this class.
It's a top-heavy class.
Ooh, yeah. Freak Arthur.
Would be the way I would describe it. It's not incredibly deep. Like the cornerback class, the cornerback class is fucking good.
It is. It's very good.
There are going to be some good values in the second and third round. I mean, the Steelers would be they could draft two of them this year. This is the year to do it if you want to pull from that group. The thing that concerns me is their lack of success with drafting corners. I mean, This is the antithesis of their wide receiver drafting skill, where they're so fucking good. Like,
well said.
They could just be like, I'm just going to pick one now. This is the one you draft tomorrow, no matter what. And it doesn't matter. It'll be fine. Trust me. They're just fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter who they pick at wide receiver. They're just fucking good. Corner, on the other hand, it doesn't matter who they pick. That guy either needs a lot of time or sucks.
Do you think they need to draft a wide receiver?
I would prefer that they drafted or signed a wide receiver. I actually would prefer they signed a wide receiver, to be honest with you.
Where I'm at, too.
I'd like them to draft a guy who can inject a little bit of that no-nonsense attitude into that room. A veteran, like a Jericho Kochery. Like if there was a guy like that out there as a free agent this year, that would be a perfect addition to this.
I'm telling you, man, Robert Woods is available. He's a slot guy. He's a slot guy.
I don't know about his character, but like Kochery, a DHB, high character dude. Yep. Helped some of the guys like get their shit together financially because his mom is a CPA, and he was like, no. You need to set some money aside for later. Shit like that, like common sense things. Young guys all of a sudden have a bunch of cash, and you got a guy who's been doing it for a while, and he's like, hey, hang on. I had a big contract too. Let me talk you through this.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And Austin is such an unknown. I mean, he's not only unknown to fans, he's unknown to them. I honestly, I don't think they've seen nearly enough. They haven't seen any game action, but
I mean,
Steven Sims, God bless him. He's a fine returner. Yeah. Every once in a while, he'll do a little something.
He made some nice catches.
He'll do a little tiny something in a game, and it's fine. But he's not even as good as like Eli Rogers, who was not a great wide receiver. But he was a competent.
Currently in the slot. XFL, by the way.
Ideally, ideally, you want your slot guy to get at least 50 grabs a year, right?
Yeah,
at least 50,
40, at least 40.
Yeah,
minimum.
I mean,
depending on how good your tight end is, right?
In a passing league, and I know like you could still be a look at the Chiefs, they're a pass heavy team, but they also run the ball efficiently. Yep. I said Robert Woods because he has tons of slot experience. He's a 10-year vet. He's probably looking for that final contract. So I think he might maybe have outpriced the Steelers. I don't know that, but we talked about this on the show. You got George Pickens and you got Deontay Johnson, and George Pickens is proven to also be a deep threat. Big Ben's murder, Anthony Miller. Like, I mean, no disrespect to any of these guys, but like, you got Pickens, you got Deontay, you got Muth, and then after that, you got
Miller had that experience with Trubisky, and I think they were banking on a little bit of that relationship, and then he got hurt.
Anthony Miller is 28 years old.
Right.
If we are still waiting for Anthony Miller to break out at 28 years old.
No, I don't think it's so much about a breakout as it is maybe he can be that veteran guy, but you can't be if you're not healthy.
It isn't just that. At some point, to be that veteran guy, you had to have performed.
Yeah. And I know people anytime I tweet this about like they need a Kochery or DHB, they're like,
people love your tweets.
Yeah, I know. They're like, DHB didn't do anything. It's like DHB though was a number 1 pick overall. He got drafted by the Raiders, and he never performed to that first round pick status. But the dude was so grounded and kept it all together. He was never in trouble. He was never a bad teammate.
The dude was a freak athlete. His teammates respected his ability.
Special teamer.
And he had a 60-yard house call against the Dolphins. In 2016, that might be the longest run for a touchdown by a Steeler in the last 10 years.
Greatest play I've ever seen him make as a Steeler, though, was versus the Browns on a pick. A pick six. It should have been a pick six.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
And he smacked that ball out of the guy's hand at the 2-yard line. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. I don't even know how he caught the guy. He caught him from behind, smacked the ball out of his hand. He didn't even go for the tackle. He went for the ball. Ball came out. Steelers recovered. I was like, yes. That reversal of fortune brought to you by because Cleveland.
But George makes a good point. Miles Boykin, stout, good special teams player. Great.
Good dude, too.
Keep him.
Yes,
for sure.
Absolutely.
You still need a veteran contributor on offense. Like,
right.
Fuck no, I would not bring back Gunner. Fuck no. Fuck no. Fuck no.
I like that we're having 2 different conversations. Ryan's talking and Ben's talking to the chat.
Sorry, Ryan. I apologize.
Gunner was part of the group down there in Florida throwing with Kenny and Mitch. It was nice of
Gunner
him.
Olszewski. He is worthless. That is an empty fucking uniform. No.
I mean, I hate to say it.
Yeah.
If he was worth something, the Patriots probably wouldn't have let him go. Am I wrong or right?
Well, I'd say you're right.
Yeah.
Because like Edelman never left, Hogan never
Yeah,
left.
I'm sure, George.
Fucking Danny Amendola left and sucked, and then he went back and won a Super Bowl.
Of course.
It's just kind of like,
Yeah. I bring that up because like I said, I heard a lot about the receiver class. A lot of the experts just aren't crazy about it. There's a lot of good talent, but it's not what it's been. And then, you do look at the corners, man, the corners are just, it's bountiful. There's guys that you're going to be able to look at in literally every round. And as Ben alluded to, Ian, can you see them doubling up on a cornerback?
They could. I mean, and really the corner situation kind of depends on what they do with the guys on the roster, because Levi Wallace was signed to a 2-year deal. Ahkello Witherspoon still has a year left on his 2-year deal. And we've talked about this before, that those 2-year deals are basically 1 year with a team option for a second year.
Sure.
So, William Jackson's going to be gone. Cam Sutton's going to be a free agent. So in theory, they have Levi Wallace and Ahkello Witherspoon under contract, but Witherspoon was hurt all last year and wasn't very effective when he did play, and Wallace was kind of hit and miss. He made some good plays, he made some bad plays, so I don't know. But yeah, I could definitely see them, double dipping at that position. Although my feeling is, if you're not going to take a corner in the top 40 picks, so we have 2 picks in the top 40 this year. If you're not taking one in the top 40, it's really not worth drafting one at all. You're better off signing them in free agency.
Since we're on the subject of the picks, Ian alluded to this twice in the last 2 weeks. The possibility that the Steelers might move back into the first round to get that 5th-year option, which wouldn't be very expensive from 32.
Depending how far they moved, of course.
Yeah, right. I mean, but getting into the tail end.
Yeah, going up to 30, going up 2 picks doesn't cost you that much.
Wouldn't cost you that much. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I think
I like the idea.
I think it's enticing.
Yeah, it's very enticing.
The other option is, you never know what they're going to do with 17, right? They could trade up, they could trade down, they could do. I mean, Omar ain't Kevin, so you never know when it comes down to it. If he gets a really good offer for someone to move up, someone to, you never know.
Let's say they've used their 17th pick and they're sitting there with 32 and they'd like to move up. Would you burn that next pick in the second round to move up?
Oh, no.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't either. So we're talking about very small movements then.
Yeah.
We're talking about getting to the tail end of the first round, and there's a guy there that you covet, right?
Yeah.
And he's falling, and you don't think he's going to last the next handful of picks, and so you move back in to grab him, maybe.
I mean,
and you're right, as Ian just pointed out. They traded back for Casey Hampton, and that was a damn good pick, for example.
Yes, that was a very quality selection.
And
I'd love to have a Casey Hampton right now. I would love it.
And that's the thing that like, this is all so fluid, right? Like, whether they mock based on what they think other teams are going to do, or whether they mock based on if they had this pick, they do this. As this all unfolds, if they're sitting there at 32 and they're like, well, shit, I know these next 4 teams aren't going to pick this player that we want, so I'm not going to move, right? But if they say, shit, 29, they might take it. They might take the guy that we want. Then you try to make a deal. But
you get into a William Jackson situation, where he's your guy, and the Bengals are sitting right in front of you, and they take
the Bengals.
The Bengals. Now
here's
a team.
The Bengals have trolled. The Bengals have trolled a lot of Steelers drafts. A lot.
Andrew Billings too, right?
Billings.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
A whole lot of them. It's like, yes, the Steelers used to purposely send out disinformation on their draft picks. and seemed like they're really interested in a guy they were not going to fucking take. Andrew Billings was one of them. But yeah, I mean,
Andrew Billings wouldn't have lasted training camp with John Mitchell. I'm telling you right
now. Really?
Yeah. So I was looking at this. I'm just going to throw this out there as an option, just because we're talking about the 32nd pick, right?
Yeah.
If they traded and Mark mentioned their 2 second-round picks, so I was just looking at it. If they wanted to trade with, let's say, Buffalo at 27, they could go from 32 to 27, give Buffalo the 49th pick, and get the 59th pick back from Buffalo. So basically an even swap, right? Buffalo moves back in the first round, up in the second round. We keep our second-round pick, just move back to Buffalo's pick. So we'd move back 10 picks in the second round to move up 5 spots into the first round to get that. And that's not a bad deal, right? You don't lose any of your picks. You just slide back.
Ian's already doing the fucking math.
I'm saying, man,
you're
45 days away.
You got an 8x8 draft board.
What I'm saying, like, I haven't even looked. There's like these names.
I love it.
These names in the chat, and we love your engagement. Please keep it going. But I'm like, who the fuck is Christian Gonzalez? I'm like,
Scarves, man, you got to get on the wagon.
God
dude.
damn, dude, seriously? Gonzalez may not make it to
the
17
DH for the Texas Rangers.
He may not make it to 17.
No.
Gonzalez is that fucking good.
He's a stud.
I'm just saying. No,
I love him. I would,
okay.
If they could get him, I would be so excited. I would be like, yes, I know it's a corner and it's a first round pick, and I don't care.
No, I know.
God damn, his footwork is so good.
You're already mentally prepared to draft a guy that's probably not even going to be there. So, like, why are you investing so much into this right now?
I would be excited. I don't see it happening.
That's what we do.
I understand that, but after pro day, you could probably be like, all right. The chips have some of the chips have fallen, but I mean, you're all talking about this, but I'm telling you right now, they're taking Joey Porter Jr. at 17. I'm telling you right now.
Fuck you, Ryan.
I'm telling you this
don't
right
put
now.
that shit out there.
And I'm
Look,
telling you.
I don't hate Joey Porter Jr.
No, I don't
player.
And it'll be the third year in a row that I hate the pick, not the player.
I just don't want him at 17. If they got him at like 32, I would be fine with it. I would be okay with it.
Yep.
But 17 is too rich.
I agree. I am 100% on board with that.
He is a bump man or man corner.
He's grabby.
He likes contact.
Yep.
That's how he maintains distance with receivers. I think his footwork is marginal. He's a good run support corner. I'll give him that.
Yep.
And the Steelers like that, but the Steelers also like their corners to be able to play zone and man zone, or off man, and man zone too. Yeah.
All right.
Ben's in the man zone.
All right.
I'm serious though. Think about this. They do this thing.
Right.
They do this thing, and Deshae Townsend talked about it, and then what's his fuck talked about it later. They play kind of a man zone kind of a deal where they line up in zone, and then they play man later based upon the guy they match up with after the guy comes into their zone, which the whole thing to me is just, it's fucking off. It's weird, but their defense is complicated.
It is.
They like guys that play off the ball, which Joey Porter Jr. is not. He's not an off the ball guy. That ain't who he is.
No.
Hypothetical question here.
Oh, love the hypotheticals.
Would you rather the Steelers draft Joey Porter Jr. at 17, or they draft Dino Tomlin in the 7th round?
You asshole.
Is he eligible this
draft
year?
eligible?
Yes.
He is. I believe he is.
He was at Boston College last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm being a dick, but I'm seriously asking the question.
Well, on a little bit on that note,
I'd rather they drafted Joey Porter Jr. if that was
there is a corner. Yeah, there's a corner out of Maryland that is apparently screaming up the draft boards, and we know Tomlin's relationship with Maryland. So
Dino Tomlin was only a redshirt junior. He's got one more year.
But I thought he tweeted something. He tweeted something recently
declare?
about like I'm gonna get drafted or something. So I assume.
Did he declare? I
sure.
don't follow Dino Tomlin on the Twitter, so
Nor do I. I follow Pebbles Tomlin, but not Dino.
Pebbles.
Yeah, Flintstones reference, Scarps.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So what's the one position, Ian, that if the Steelers drafted, you would literally during our live podcast, you'd be like, that's it for me. I'm out of here.
Punter, kicker. I don't know.
Well,
long snapper.
I've been
on a live podcast where they took a long snapper.
We've been there, haven't we?
Yeah. No.
Long snapper? What
honestly,
the fuck?
Honestly, the only pick I wouldn't understand would be quarterback. Like
Yeah.
I could understand a pick at any other position. And I could probably justify it. Even, edge rusher, you could say Alex Highsmith's got 1 year left. They've got TJ Watt, who's making the most money of any outside linebacker and any edge rusher in the league. They don't want to pay Highsmith. You need some depth there for this year. Plus you need a future starter. I could justify in my head any position, even center. You could say, okay, Mason Cole was all right. You can move him to guard. You have this now lockdown center. Guard, you could say, Kevin Dotson was kind of weak.
If there was, there's not a center in this class that's worthy of a first round pick. But let's just say hypothetically there were a Marquise Pouncey in this class. You could absolutely justify that because you can then move Mason Cole over to compete. Actually have real competition with Kevin Dotson as opposed to last year where there was no competition for Kevin Dotson. And, and both players would probably get better as a result. So, yeah, I agree with you, but center isn't going to happen.
I think wide receiver would probably be the most surprising in the first round just because the first round receivers tend to be the outside guys, and we have 2 outside receivers right now. What we really need is a slot receiver.
Yeah.
But what we really need on offense is game-breaking players that can score anytime they touch the ball. We don't really have any of those guys right now.
We have one.
Big yards after the catch guys that can.
We have one.
Really,
we have one guy that's
up.
capable of that. His name is
Zach
George
Gentry.
Pickens.
Yeah.
And they refused.
George
and they
Pickens.
refused.
This is.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, this is actually a really good tight end draft class, and if they do
Excellent
let Gentry go, I could even see justifying. Freiermuth's had some concussions. You want to have another.
I would buy it.
Like, I could justify in my head. Yeah,
I wouldn't like it, Ben, but I could see it.
Yeah.
I mean, the value would have to be so high that you just couldn't pass up on the guy,
Yeah.
Okay.
Quarterback,
again, I mean,
Gronk
Gronk was a second rounder.
I'd be like, what the fuck
right?
are they doing? Yeah.
But so to that point about a guy with so much value.
No, it is not Kendrick Green's breakout year.
Kendrick Green will be a Patriot.
Kendrick Green will be he will be a Cleveland Brown by August, late August.
So what happens? What happens if
Clem?
Yeah, you're right. Clem is on the staff, isn't he?
Yeah. What happens if Bijan Robinson is sitting there at 17?
I don't know who that is.
He's the running back from Texas.
He is good.
Really good.
He's really, really good.
I don't think they take a running back.
I don't either. But if we're
But he is good, and he might be there.
Yeah. And he's a guy I can see falling there. And then you get into that tight end conversation. What if the
Robinson?
Mayer kid,
I don't love Robinson's his blitz pickup. I love everything else about him.
I need to do some homework.
Right. If Bijan Robinson is there, that's when you start fielding phone calls from guys in the early 20s.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, hey, what do you want to give us to move back like 3 or 4 spots in this draft?
Yeah, I'm on 31 different phones right now.
Yeah.
Who wants to move up here?
Yeah.
I agree with
do we take this guy?
I don't want us to get in that position where we feel like we gotta take somebody.
Yeah, no.
You know,
I think there's enough guys that being at 17 only 16 players are going to get taken before us. So there's enough guys that someone's going to be there. It might be a bit of a surprise, like that safety from Alabama that I talked about at the beginning of the show. But you could justify that, right?
Yes,
you could say, plug him in next to Minka. You can do a whole bunch of shit. And, so yeah, I think there's options that we're going to have options this year is where
Black and Yellow Texas Steel. Appreciate that comment. He said Khan is going to go by the book in his first draft. I don't see any surprise picks. And that is a very, very good point, because as much as this is an opportunity for Omar to say, hey, Kevin's not here anymore, I'm in charge. There's still Art. There's still Coach Tomlin. He's still got a scouting staff that is well versed and well experienced. I tend to agree with that. Steel Dad, for your question, I'm going to tell you this right now, and it's probably recency bias, but if they take an inside linebacker in the first round, I might throw up.
But there really isn't a guy in this class
at 17. No,
so I'm saying,
but at 32,
yes,
32. At 17, if they reach for a guy, an off-ball linebacker at 17.
Here's a guy.
Here's the guy that likes posted Twitter videos of cats getting thrown down.
Look,
one other thought that I'll say about trading down is right now the Steelers have 3 picks in the top 50, which most years we've only had 1 pick in the top 50. So this is wild. But we also don't have any picks between 119 in the middle of the 4th round and 235 in the 7th round. So if there's an option that presents itself where you can pick up another 5th or 6th round pick in there and maybe get another 3rd round pick too, right? Like
if there's a guy that they covet in the 5th or 6th round, I think they'll do it. Otherwise, I'll be honest, I'd rather have the first pick in the 2nd round than the 5th and the 6th round pick.
Oh, I'm not saying you give it up for those, but I'm just saying you move down 2 or 3 spots and pick up an extra 5th or 6th round pick.
If they trade back into those rounds, it'll probably be for future picks.
Yes, I would tend to agree with that.
I think player.
The one thing we got to remember,
maybe somebody will give us a 6 for Gunnar Olszewski.
Somebody's going to trade up and reach for a quarterback too.
Probably not, but maybe.
And that's going to create another logjam in the first round. So somebody's going to, somebody's probably going to sneak up there and take Anthony Richardson because everybody's hot to trot on his ceiling and everything else. Will Levis, so I think it's going to push somebody to us that we're really going to have to sit there and go, holy shit.
And agreed, still that. And also, I'm telling you right now, the Bears are going to trade out of that first
pick.
Sure.
100%.
Because
they're not taking a quarterback.
And they they definitely believe in Fields. And I tell you what, man, I know you hate fantasy football, Ben, but that dude last year was unbelievable in fantasy football.
My thing is this, at the end of the day, if they wanted to trade Kenny Pickett and a 2nd round pick for Justin Fields, I would probably say, yeah, let's do it.
What? Really?
Yeah, really.
Wow. I don't think I would do that.
I would do it in a fucking flash.
Yeah, I'd do it too.
I like Fields' athleticism, but my guy's got the accuracy of an old school machine gun.
I mean, the
Bears' offensive line is fucking terrible.
He
can't set his feet,
and he's got no receivers.
He can't set his feet.
His best
just say he's got no receivers.
His best receiver is a Steeler.
Tight end. He can't set his feet. When you watch him play, the guy can't set his feet.
I agree.
If he could set his feet, he'd be better.
I did want to
slow the fuck down.
I did want to talk about one other item not related to the draft, and some of you saw that this week the NFL released, or the NFLPA released, a little free agent survey of about 1,300 players. And
I wonder when you get to this.
They gave grades to the 32 NFL teams on everything from nutrition to strength conditioning coaches, weight facilities, locker room facilities.
I want to get to my tweet about that.
The Steelers finished 22nd overall. A couple of the areas that they were really hammered at was players' families. I believe that got like a D or a D minus.
D minus.
And the locker room was also graded very, very poorly.
Yeah, that's been a thing for years, though. We knew that.
It has. And, Mark Cavalli, who's been a longtime beat writer and now for The Athletic, he made the point, and I don't know if I agree or disagree. I haven't thought about it that much, but he made the point that it's going to be hard to ever really have all of the best amenities as long as you keep sharing with Pitt.
True.
Because, and I see his point. I do. But is there some merit to what some of these players are saying, Scarps?
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah,
baby.
It's time for you to talk some shit. Stop being nice.
Well,
talk the way you really talk in Slack. Go ahead.
So
do it.
Casey,
do it.
Casey is going to address this shortly, but
I knew it.
All right, so I just want to say this.
Be honest.
I am being honest. I'm very grateful for my time with the Steelers. Serious. Listen. I know I've had some wine.
You are.
I know. Big Ben's burner. I just got back from book clubs. I'm having some wine, so. But I am grateful. They took a chance on a kid out of college, and I worked there for 7 years, and I gained invaluable experience.
Daniel Jones wants $45 million.
In part, yeah, okay. Part of that was getting to sort of take in the surroundings and the freebies. Daniel Jones wants what, $45 million?
Yeah.
Per.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Did Big Ben just say
that was just so funny?
Did he just say ass massages?
Yeah.
I've never seen those two words together before.
So Mitch Trubisky has better numbers than Daniel Jones, by the way.
Yeah.
And a better record too.
Whatever.
Anyway.
Daniel Jones asking for $45 million is the funniest thing I've heard in a month.
So I am grateful for my time there. They took a chance on me. I got to work there for 7 seasons. I got to.
All right, quit sucking ass. Let's get to the point.
All right.
Ryan's actually giving me massages.
Good job, Mark.
So anyway, I got to work out for free, which was great. But for a very long time, the gym there was worse than my high school gym. And I would take free agents on visits. And I would always save the 6 trophies for last for a very specific reason. It's because everything else sucked. So we would go into the locker room and they'd be like, "Man, I just visited Tampa Bay and they have they have plugs in your locker and like you can like charge your phone and stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, but we have a wooden safe. Have you ever seen one of those?" The locker room is small. There's never enough lockers. Only when there's 53 guys. When there's 90 guys, they have to actually bring in like shitty gym. It's unbelievable. And then I'd go to the weight room, and the weight room looked like shit. And on the benches was like embroidered with Super Bowl XL champions, and they'd be like, free agents would be like, "Didn't you win Super Bowl 43? I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that." And then we go to the training room and they'd be like, "Is this it?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I mean, we got a hot tub. Yeah, sorry, that's a little Eddie Murphy joke, but yeah, the facilities are lacking. And Casey will talk about this in a little bit.
Okay.
But overall, they outgrew the South Side long time ago. They share a facility with Pitt. Didn't
you say the Pitt side was nicer?
Oh, well, Casey will talk about this later. But yeah, the Pitt side is way nicer. The weight room is way nicer. And now I'll give credit where it's due. They did make upgrades to the facility recently. They updated the weight room, and the weight room is wonderful. But I just want to say this. I want to say this. All you need to know about the Steelers facility is that the practice fields, okay? So a normal goal line to goal line in an NFL stadium is 100 yards, correct?
Yes.
The Steelers practice fields from goal line to goal line are 80 yards.
Oh.
And from end line of the end zone to end line of the end zone, they're 100 yards because somebody was like, you know what, those 20 extra yards that don't fit within the budget, okay? Like,
who needs them?
I'll never forget that. So they need
now, just out of curiosity, Ryan, when you were working out at the Steelers facility, did you typically like spot for James Harrison?
I remember. I'll never.
Did you speak to James Harrison while he was working out?
I never spoke to him when he was working out, but there was one time.
Probably for the best.
There was one time at training camp where I had a PR on a personal record for all you non-gym folks out there. No, I'm just being a dick. I close gripped bench pressed
135.
No, more than that. But I
185.
You shut up, Jesus Christ! Let me finish it.
165. Yeah. Sorry, I went high.
I close grip bench press for my best set of 5 ever, and like I was really proud of myself.
What was the weight?
Maybe 205.
See, Ryan, Ben's the guy that immediately says, "Hey, what'd you bench?"
I'm 170.
I'm being a dick.
170.
Sorry.
I'm 170. It was like 205 for 5 close grip.
That's pretty good.
I'm whatever. And I was very proud. And I was very proud of myself.
Good. Yeah. All right.
Harrison, who probably Debo worked out for about the 15th time that day, was like, "That's bitch weight." And I was like, "All right, thank you, James. Appreciate you." And then he realized, I think he realized that, I was like, that was like the most weight I've ever lifted. He's like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." I was like, "Thanks." He's intimidating as fuck, and I would never want to play against him. But he was actually deep down, he was like a good dude, and he just fucking with you. So
right on.
But yes, beautiful. Harrison probably used me as a way.
Yeah.
So now,
I actually have a comment going back to what Ryan said about what the Steelers field, right, being only 80 yards long. So the problem here is I was looking at it on the map because I know where their stadium is, or the practice facility is.
Yeah.
Right. The problem is they have a river on one side and railroad tracks on the other side. So there really wasn't room to
put it in
build
there,
unless they
need another facility someplace else.
Yes.
And to be fair, though, the road could have ended where they wanted it to. Because at the time there was nothing past that road.
So basically, what happened is Dan gave in because it was Pittsburgh and they wanted the road down to here.
Well, there's more stuff that got built beyond where their facility is now. Yeah.
But they didn't. So maybe they said in the proposal, Ian's. I'm not allowed to say. I don't know. Ian is a master planner.
Right.
Just
very brilliant planner.
Ian is a master planner and also a master garbage collector.
Whatever.
But no, Ian. I thought I thought about that many times because that road was not there until they built that facility. So I felt that they could have just cut it off at that point. Because Pitt has a normal size field at the very end, so it's like it funneled out.
So I think
shorter.
Is it?
Yeah.
Can we get past the field thing for just a second?
Sorry,
and talk about where they did poorly and where they did well.
They're cheap too. Whatever.
Yeah. All right.
We can do that. Sorry.
Treatment of families they did badly. Training room that Ryan's already alluded to. They also got a D-. They did badly.
And the
locker room
thing.
They got a D+. The treatment of families thing, they scored poorly because they don't have daycare during games.
Yeah, which is a big deal. I mean,
I agree. I agree with you.
That's not that hard to do.
I agree. And you don't necessarily need to do it on site. You could do it at fucking, I don't know, like Stage AE. I don't know. But I know that stadium, people don't realize how small that stadium is compared to other stadiums in the league.
That's a great point.
It's not small. It's not a big stadium. They don't have meeting rooms. They don't have extra space for events.
Yeah.
Like they do in other stadiums in other cities. Seriously. I mean, like Seattle is not a big stadium by comparison to other stadiums in the league. It's way bigger than Heinz Field.
Our buddy Matt, who does the behind-the-scenes stuff here at Steel City Blitz, he was out in Vegas during the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
He said Allegiant Stadium. He said Heinz Field could fit inside of it at least twice.
I agree.
It's that big. And
the Arizona Stadium.
Yes, it's another one.
Same deal.
Yep.
Heinz Field could fit inside it twice.
Yep. I think Hall of Famer Rick has made a comment about how big it was. Yeah.
Anyway, the point being, I agree with what Ian said. It's a huge deal. Huge. Daycare for families, and then like a family meeting room, like for players' families where they can go, like all of them, all the families, they all get the same treatment. They're all treated well. They're all important. All of that. The Steelers don't have that, and most teams do. So, they scored poorly there. And then the locker room, the Steelers' locker room has been a point of contention for players for a long time.
And Ben, to that point, to the thing that I talked about when I wrote up the article last night about this was that a lot of these young men come from college programs where their individual lockers are literally high-tech stations.
Yes. Have you seen the fucking LSU locker room or any locker room in the
SEC? Right down the road.
Yeah.
Or I live by Western Michigan
USC,
University.
Or USC or UCLA.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
They have their own TVs. They have their own video game systems, charging ports. They have all that stuff.
I can sit here and fuck around and play video games in my locker.
Yes. It's all there. You want to watch tape on a 32-inch screen right in your locker?
Sure, yeah. Ooh. No, it's actually a 43, but sure.
Well, exactly. But that's it.
Where did they do well? The Steelers did well.
They did well in
food service and nutrition. They did well. Strength coaches.
They
did well in the training staff, which these are important things. Yeah. They did well on team travel. So it's a mixed bag. Agreed. But obviously they can improve. Yeah. They can improve. And that's the point, is that the Steelers as a group can improve. Sometimes surveys like this are painful, but they're helpful.
Very helpful. Yep.
This is my thing. And, it's not like they had rats in their locker room, all right, like the Jacksonville Jaguars, or Oakland
Raiders.
They had
or the old coaches. Oakland Alameda Coliseum.
That's right.
Actually, the Raiders scored really well on this survey.
They did. Yeah.
So setting that aside for a second, the Ravens, apparently there's a giant disconnect between the strength training coaches and the training staff. Like they hate each other. And so a lot of guys are getting injured because of those strength training coaches, that's a huge fucking deal. That's huge.
And there's been a lot of guys coming out on Twitter from the Ravens that said, like, I had season-ending injuries.
I love it because I hate the fucking Ravens, as you all know. But it's a big, big deal. I fucking love it.
Ravens facility, beautiful, immaculate. Strength and conditioning coaches, shite.
Right? It could be worse though.
Yeah.
Remember when the Browns had the whole thing where everybody just kept catching fucking staff over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? That shit was nasty. That's
terrible.
It's fucking disgusting.
Yep.
And they, couldn't it happen to a nicer franchise?
Who'd you say?
Yeah.
The Browns. Staff infections. Over.
Was it the Giants too?
I believe they went through it.
No. It was the Browns and the Jags.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was the Giants.
I thought the Giants because Lawrence Tynes, their kicker, had it.
Yeah, they had an incident.
Bad.
They had an incident, but they said that he caught it in the hospital.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
He had it bad enough that he thought he was going to lose his leg.
Yeah.
Yes.
And who was it? Was it the Cardinals that was like one of 3 teams in the league that like makes guys pay for their own lunches at the facility?
I thought that was the Bengals.
Maybe
I could easily see Bengals doing that.
There was one of them that was like they make the players pay for their own.
But it wasn't like a lot of money, but it was like it was the principle. It was like
comment of the day right there.
Yeah.
It was like you make us go through the cafeteria and then like pay for our lunch. Like there's a cash register at the end of the line where you make us pay, and we fucking work here.
Yeah.
Not to put any pressure, but is Casey Kasem ready to roll?
Always.
Oh, are we 120 in? We really are.
We have been cruising. Casey Kasem, ladies and gentlemen. Casey Kasem.
Casey's Coast to Coast, American Top 40. Hold on. Time out. We're going to have to do this again. Hold on.
American Top 40.
You wrote it on your phone?
I had to. I did this late. There it is. Casey's Coast to Coast, American Top 40. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was March 2nd, 1994. Ryan from Pittsburgh writes, Dear Casey, as you may have heard, earlier this week, the NFLPA released a report card that graded each team in a variety of categories. The Steelers did not fare too well in multiple categories, including the current status of the UPMC Rudy Sports Complex. The players that weighed in, much like the Rolling Stones, couldn't get no satisfaction. Ooh. This, of course, led to chatter on Steelers Twitter about upgrading the facility and stadium, perhaps even building new modern state-of-the-art facilities. Purely hypothetical, all speculation, but plenty of Yinzers needed to be talked off the ledge as they clutched their black and gold pearls, fearing that one day the team might actually not have a stadium within the city of Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
Now, I don't want to shatter your Yinzer hearts by saying there's a good chance the Steelers will, in fact, one day have a stadium outside the city, but I will die on this hill. The Steelers absolutely need their own facility. While it has been upgraded over the years, overall, it's as old as that X-ray machine back in Oakland in 2018.
Oh.
Casey, as you know, the Steelers share the facility with the University of Pittsburgh, which is where Steelers' first-round pick of the 2022 NFL Draft, Kenny Pickett, went.
Damn it.
I wonder how many professional sports franchises, I wonder how many NFL teams share a facility with a college team. Hell, I wonder how many professional sports franchises share a facility with a college team. The Steelers remind me of a recent college graduate that has too much pride to move back home, but puts an ad on Craigslist that says, I need a roommate. And then the roommate moves in and he has the nicer side of the apartment. You heard that right, Casey. Pitt's side of the facility is nicer than the Steelers. It's time the Steelers channel their inner Billy Joel and be moving out. In the meantime, Steelers brass is in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine trying to find the next batch of greats. I'm sure they're asking them the tough questions like, was your BAC higher than your GPA?
Oh, Jesus.
How many naked laps have you done? And do you know where I can find some weed? Rest assured, if you're at the Combine, the Steelers will find out about you. Ryan, I like your style. Up 3 spots this week to number 30. Here's the Gin Blossoms off their album New Miserable Experience with Found Out About You.
Nice. Jesus Christ. I fucking love it. And you did that. You threw that together right before the show?
Oh, it's like 9:54. I was like, oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
This is not
It's
good.
like some ADHD. I work best under pressure.
Yeah,
Yes.
Wonderful work. That was fantastic.
Wow.
You know, I think you can see the Gin Blossoms, by the way, at a casino near
I was
you.
gonna say.
You know what? I saw the Gin Blossoms and who the fuck is the guy who the Refreshments in Arizona in the 90s.
Oh my God.
Same show. God damn, it was good. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. These guys opened up and that was like who are these guys? The Refreshments.
The Refreshments?
Really? Yes. They were so fucking good. Oh, yeah, you guys are missing out.
Apparently.
I'm telling you, listen in.
All right, we're getting out of here. The Combine continues through the weekend.
Only 90
we'll be
minutes.
paying plenty of attention to that. Of course, Scarpino will be. He's got to learn some of these damn names for crying out loud.
Scarpino.
Be that as it may. But anyway, thanks so much to everybody. We love having our loyal viewers join us every single week on the show. Thanks so much to all you guys.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thanks for joining us every week.
Thank you. And,
even when we change the dates and times, you guys are still here. It's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like they completely move their entire schedule around us, which is really sad, quite frankly.
We love you guys.
But thank you guys.
We do.
Anyway, we'll be back next Thursday. And this is Steel Dad for these guys. Signing off on the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck. Go there for strength training, though.